Hey, everybody. Kairi091 here with this week's edition of Kairi's Cards Cast alongside Brian Lutz. As always, how you feeling today, Lutz?
You know, I'm feeling things. I'm not all numbed up yet.
He's feeling things. All right, so speaking of things that we feel, the first thing I want to do before we actually get started with the
Top 5.
I want to give a shout out to a new YouTube channel that I have recently started listening to. And it's this guy, Lutz actually showed him to me. He's called Wk12.
Grown man business.
And he happens to be a fan of,
Grown man business.
like we all are, I would imagine. So yeah, if you guys want some interesting and fun sports because you don't get enough from me and Lutz, check out Wk12 on YouTube, and you know it's good stuff. Lutz, it's entertaining stuff. It's good. It's good content. All right. Since we're not going to be doing any
Grown man business.
Damn it, did you put center screen again?
No, I meant to say, since we're not going to do any top 5, and I accidentally played Grown Man Business. since we're not going to do any Grown Man Business, that's what I just did.
That's true too, though.
We're
No
not
grown man business here.
Not going to be doing any.
Top 5.
Not going to be doing that either. So last week, Lutz, I think looking back at last week, I feel like it was one of them tale of two halves type situations, which I think, in my opinion, says a lot about Palmer. This dude, anyone else on this thing, EverQuest veterans like me and Lutz, because in EverQuest there's this thing you can do to people called memory blur, and it makes NPCs like forget everything about that's just happened recently. Somebody cast memory blur on Carson Palmer because he seemed unfazed by the fact that he played the shittiest half of football he's ever played in the first half. He came out in the second half guns slinging like it didn't even bother him what he had just done in the first half. What do you think, Lutz?
That's true.
Did you memory blur him?
I'm not an enchanter. I'm a bard.
Bards don't get memory blur?
No, they get another song. Wow, I digress. No, you did the digressions.
So, three touchdowns in the third quarter for Carson Palmer. Obviously, someone cast memory blur. Patrick Peterson. Peterson.
Wait,
What?
is Bruce Arians an enchanter? I never really thought about it before.
I don't know. You might be. With
Hi,
the way
people who don't understand what we're talking about.
with the way that he seems to get people's careers resurrected, I think he might be a necromancer.
Ooh.
Patrick Peterson shut down AJ Green. I looked at the, you can look up like the play-by-plays of each drive and see like what the outcome was. The only completed pass, after a completion, it'll say in parentheses who was in coverage. The only time that that AJ Green caught a pass while Peterson was covering him, it was an 11-yard pass. That was it. That's the only pass. That's AJ Green's total yardage while being covered by Peterson was 11 yards, according to like NFL.com.
Yeah. And he like batted one, and then he got one penalty. You all know the stats.
We had 17 stats of offense.
No, we're not doing that anymore. We had 18 this week. God.
It's Cardinals time.
Okay, so
Talk more about stats. JJ Nelson had some of those. He had 4 catches for 140 change yards.
Stupid. 4 catches for 140 yards. What are we doing?
He's averaging 30 plus yards catch.
Oh boy, he's solid, right? No, you know what? I feel a lot better about JJ Nelson after that, and not just because he had what I would call a couple of somewhat lucky breaks, but the fact that he's as fast as he is, and Smoke does kind of the same thing. It forces defensive players to commit penalties. Like if you don't pass interfere on John Brown, he's going to burn you for a touchdown. So it's better to just give up than to give up the TD or to horse collar him or something. Just give up 15 yards and a penalty instead of giving up the TD. What do you think, Lutz? Here's a question.
Okay, go.
How did we do without Floyd? How did we do without Floyd?
We managed. At first, I was really nervous about it because JJ was definitely off on one of those routes. You could tell. And you'd imagine Floyd would have been on it. So I was kind of concerned about that. But then he got in the groove of it a little bit. So, yeah, JJ was somebody who was really excited for coming into the season. I don't know. I guess I didn't know. I kind of expected him to just hit the ground running, so to speak. But shit, if he wants to start firing now, then that works for me too. So I'm glad that he got some reps in and he got comfy on the field.
I agree with
We'll
that.
need him.
I
Yeah?
agree with that statement, and I don't know.
Real, huh?
I don't know if Floyd is going to be back after this season. His rookie contract
Yeah.
is just about up.
I will say, like, I don't know. He's got a pretty big role in our offense. I mean, you could tell at the beginning of the Bengals game, but just because we are so deep at that position, and it does look like JJ will be able to work some things out. We got Larry as our big physical receiver, and like having the two guys that take their tops off, and then Jerron Brown is like another physical guy. So I think we're pretty rounded in that department. Plus, there's always Jackson and freaking Golden too.
It's funny that Bruce Arians mentions Jackson Shipley from time to time when he talks about his confidence in the wide receiver core, and he straight up name dropped Jackson Shipley. He's like, if Jackson had to go out there, I'd be comfortable with that.
Don't you remember him in preseason? He looked great.
He did. I think he did some return stuff too, if I remember correctly. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next on the agenda? NFC West. St. Louis lost. They took Joe Flacco. They took Joe Flacco's knee, but
this is a prime opportunity for me to talk about how much I hate Jeff Fisher. Like, Case Keenum got like straight up injured and was all falling around, and then somebody went to go like help him up, and he like falls back down. The guy was so clearly concussed, and first of all, the NFL dropped the ball because they're supposed to be looking for that shit, and they didn't. It seems like the guy could sue or something. But then Jeff Fisher left him in the game. But I don't know. I didn't watch that game. Do you know how Joe Flacco got his injury? Because I know that the Aaron Donald ended up destroying the Ravens running back, like threw him in the ground and then stomped on him a bunch and broke his arm. But I'm wondering how Joe Flacco got injured, because even though like I don't recall if the Drew Stanton injury was no contact or not, but I know the Carson Palmer one was. It's just curious how teams seem to lose key franchise players against the Rams all the time. Interesting trend there.
It's almost like they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, those freaking a-holes. I forgot to even mention the controversial call at the end of the Cardinals game. Lucy, what did you think of that, man? The dude, that Payco guy who was trying to like
at the end of the game with him like signal or I don't know if that's the freaking rule and shit. If the guy was trying to mimic the cadence.
But how would you okay, the serious question, like put a little bit of thought into this before you respond. How would you feel if Calais Campbell was barking out offensive signals to try to throw the other team off and got flagged and the Bengals ended up winning the game? Because of a Calais Campbell.
Order, bucko. Oh, I would have flipped out big time. But then I wouldn't have I'm not versed on every single freaking rule. So like I wouldn't have known that you couldn't do the cadence, right? So
I didn't know that either. I thought they did that all the time. I thought that was like part of defensive scheming was to try to throw the offense off.
Yeah. Remind me of another crazy rule before we totally get off this topic. But yeah, so like I mean that would have sucked balls, but apparently the refs got this one right, which is kind of nice to see.
Well, but you know what though? According to Fitz and a few other people, and I'm honestly, if Fitz says something, it's gold to me. Okay, I wouldn't necessarily believe everything every Cardinals player said.
And that was the thing too. Is like when you listen to the stories afterwards. I mean, the Cardinals say we heard him do it earlier. We alerted the referees. What Larry himself went over to the ref, right, and was like,
"That's
hey,
what I heard." Yeah.
Like these guys are like clowning on us during the freaking cadence. Watch out for that shit. And so they busted him in the last freaking play of the game. Well, the last play that mattered to the game. But then hearing like the linemen's recounting it to Marvin Lewis, the head coach of the Bengals, he was saying get set, because he was informing them that we were going to run a running play.
Right.
When it was just like so abundantly clear that we were driving down the field to attempt a field goal. So there was 6 seconds left in the game.
6 seconds.
Had no timeouts.
Third
we
down.
were not running a run play. The guy's obviously full of shit. And I understand the head coach is not going to throw his guy under the bus, especially when he commits a penalty that kind of didn't really cost him the game, but kind of did at that point.
It did, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It caught, yeah, it did. Well, but you know what though? In fairness to him, Catman might have made the kick anyway. It would have
But
just been a
that's
15
what
yards
I'm
long.
saying. I mean, it didn't totally like change possession or remove a score. It just made it a little bit more of a chip shot. But I don't know. The way the kick looked to me, Catman said it was the same swing regardless of 47 or 33 yards. And it looked like it would have been good with another 15 yards added on it. So I got him. I don't know. I just think it's kind of weak that Marvin Lewis was going to like repeat something kind of so asinine and just instead of saying something like we're going to look into it, he's just like, I trust what my player tells me. Your player, if he costs you the game, he's not going to be like, my bad. Of course he's going to try. He's got no character.
Ted Larson said he was terrified that he had false started. He was like really worried that.
And Bruce Arians said, yeah, he should be. He might not have been a Cardinal today.
I know, that's what I was going to say as he made that comment. Bruce Arians has sass, dude. Like, could you imagine? Bill Belichick never makes a joke or even smiles. There's no way, as great of a coach as he, maybe that makes him a better coach. I don't know. But it's just so cool that we have, I couldn't even imagine like Jeff Fisher or like Tom Coughlin or Pete Carroll or anybody else making a sassy comment like that.
I was watching a prognosticator channel, one of my favorite ones, Electric Football, and one of the guys on there made a comment. I think he alluded to somebody from the old Saints bounty defense system is now, I think, the DC for the Rams. I should look into that before I fucking spout that shit on the podcast. But if I'm not mistaken, there's some residual coaching from that Saints system that's now on the Rams. So because somebody got injured, and he was like, oh, what a surprise. And he mentioned that guy's name and the Saints connection. But before we get off of the interesting calls and the things we wanted to say about that, did you see how that Patriots-Bills game ended when the Bills were driving down the field and they're out of timeouts and the clock was running out? And they lobbed the ball over Tyrod Taylor, threw the ball over to Sammy Watkins. And Sammy Watkins grabbed the ball. There was like a second or two left on the clock, and he's at the sideline, and he falls backwards to go out of bounds. And because he went out of bounds backwards, it doesn't stop the clock.
I didn't know that. No, nobody knew that. No one knows that.
Sammy Watkins apparently didn't know that. I didn't know. I don't think anybody knew that. Rex Ryan! Remember that audible? Rex Ryan!
Oh, yeah. What the hell was with that one, dude? Of all the things you could have...
Ultimate trolling.
That's got to be what it is. Okay, so, on to the NFC in general. Green Bay got back in the win column. I don't know how I feel about that because, like, Minnesota was tied with us, so I'm kind of glad they lost. But at the same time, I feel like Green Bay is probably going to be a bigger challenge down the stretch than Minnesota. What do you think, Lutz?
I agree with that. I think that Green Bay is like an overall better team. Both of those. Well, Green Bay's had some ebbs and flows. Minnesota kind of just got off on a weird chunky start.
Okay, but where? Okay, where would you rather have to play a postseason game, Lambeau or Minnesota?
Minnesota.
There you go. Who would you rather meet up with the postseason at University of Phoenix?
Those are both shitty though, considering the Cardinals. I mean, essentially they play in a dome because they play in Phoenix, or Glendale. But both of those like tundra locations would suck for that team.
I think the Vikings play in a dome, man. They used to play in the Metrodome until it caved in.
That's right, till it fell apart. That's cool. Minnesota all day. And which one I'd want to come out? I don't really care.
I would be much more worried about playing Green Bay in the postseason, especially in the postseason. In the regular season, maybe it's a coin flip. In the postseason, I think they step up. I think Aaron Rodgers steps up. I don't know.
Kind of, but
we did beat him that one year.
He wasn't looking that great. He hasn't looked great this whole season, and they even just won this game, and he didn't complete 50% of his passes. They did throttle the Vikings pretty good though. So.
What do you think?
Yeah, I guess Minnesota. I don't know. We can stop the run pretty well. And Patrick Peterson got a little bruised up. Our secondary is getting thin. Oh God, why did I even?
No, we'll get there. You will get your opportunity. He's got a lot to say, guys. Okay. Carolina. Tell me if they're good. Are the Carolina Panthers good?
Yeah, they're good. I mean, could they have beat the Bengals? I don't know.
Are you worried? Okay, if Carolina is most likely going to be a 1 or a 2 seed, judging by the fact that they've already won 10 games.
I don't know. The offense looks pretty good, actually.
Are you concerned about having to travel to Carolina to play the Panthers in the postseason? I know we did it in 2008, and I know it went really well, but I also don't think that the Panthers are going to sign Jake Delhomme to a one-day contract for him to come start against the Cardinals. I would like that. I don't think it'll happen. What do you think? You think they're going to do that?
Yeah, they're going to do that. Okay. There you go.
You know what else I was thinking of? Like teams that would be totally screwed if they lost their starting quarterback. Carolina is that team, okay? Obviously the Colts kind of do okay with Matt Hasselbeck in place of Andrew Luck. Like they're not Matt Hasselbeck was a really, really good quarterback in his like prime, and he's still not awful. He's still pretty good. They do okay with him. Can you imagine what would happen to the Carolina Panthers if Cam Newton went down and Derek Anderson had to take the field for him as their quarterback?
And we got to play their backup in the playoffs and then rub it in their face when they lose and don't do shit on offense.
And
like, we beat you guys.
No, but okay, but it would be even cooler if their backup was Derek Anderson, because then
that's what I'm saying.
We could comment on how
I put my heart and soul into this every single week.
On how he puts his heart and soul into this beep every single week.
I knew what you were dodoing there. But but that's what all the Panthers fans were doing. We're like, we had no team. Our practice squad was playing you guys. Injuries happen. Just like, yeah.
Next question.
We'll see what you guys have to say if Cam gets injured. Anyway, go on, Kryptonite, Superman.
Next question. That's funny. Brock Osweiler beat the Chicago Bears. And it was awesome, in my opinion, to see an ASU. But dude, an ASU alum quarterback doing well. I mean, good players come out of ASU. Vontaze Burfict, Terrell Suggs, obviously. But it was just super cool to see Brock Osweiler, who I really liked during his time at Arizona State.
It's kind of interesting seeing John Fox go for it on fourth down with 8 to 10 minutes or something like that left in the game. You don't see that a lot. That's pretty freaking early.
Well, it seemed to have worked out. Now, here's my next question for you. And this
what do you mean? The Bears lost. It didn't work out. John Fox doesn't coach the Broncos anymore.
I know that. That's what I meant. Okay. I must have missed the press conference where John Elway says, "I'd like to start off by thanking John Elway." That was awesome.
Hey, man, not enough people are doing it. He's got to step up.
Red Ghost pointed something out. He said, Brock did well against the Bears, as you know, and it worked out. What about Brock against New England in this upcoming week? Should if Peyton's able to take the field, should Peyton maybe play the New England game, or do you think that they'd be better off with Brock?
I don't think anybody should let Peyton Manning play any more football for their teams anymore. Now, that's kind of tough because Denver obviously is paying him a lot of money to do nothing in that sense. But Peyton Manning, to me, is playing for Peyton Manning at this point. If he lays an egg in a game and then he feigns an injury and says that's why that happened, if that is really true going in that game, that's a very selfish perspective, because he knows he's not even at 100%. He's not being upfront about it. The coach shouldn't let him be playing into that. So it seems like he's looking at that game, against the Chiefs, where he's staring 4 or 5 yards shy from setting the all-time passing yards record. And I think weighing starting this game and removing an opportunity for my team to win versus me, Peyton Manning, getting my stat, since I'll never have as many championships or these postseason records as Tom Brady, this is all I have is my legacy. So I'm going to fucking put all I can into this. And that's just kind of how I saw that. It's as soon as he hit that fucking milestone fourth interception, they bench his ass. They had 0 points. Then Brock Osweiler comes in, and then the offense gets going a little bit. So you can look at it and be like, had Brock been playing the whole game, they would have had a much better opportunity to win that than Peyton. So Peyton hasn't been very good all year, and it's just so frustrating. He did this shit last season, and they got bumped out of the playoffs embarrassingly by the Colts. He's like, "Oh, I was really injured." And it's like, why are you playing them, bro? You just because you think you're the hottest shit, you don't have to play if you can't play. So just knowing that Peyton has these sort of selfish motives, that's just my take. I don't think anybody should let him take the field. I don't think he's much of a team player anymore. I think he's Peyton legacy oriented at this point.
Peyton just plays for himself.
I swear, dude. I swear he'll keep playing as long as anybody lets him, no matter how shitty he gets. As long as he keeps like inching up that total yardage stat at the tail end of his career, I swear. That's my
Peyton
prediction.
Manning should retire.
I think he may have, man.
Chicken parm.
Shut the fuck up, please.
Okay, moving on. Oh, this is everyone's favorite part of the show. We're gonna go ahead and get started with listen up. Wait, hold on. Where's my listen up loot sounder? I know I have it.
Not my favorite part.
I guess I never made one. Listen up loots is what we're gonna be doing now. I'm gonna go ahead and ask Lutz some questions and stuff that you guys wanted me to ask him, and then Lutz is gonna respond to them to the best of his ability, and you'll learn something if you stay tuned, guys. So don't change the channel on your television dial.
I'm not promising that.
I'm promising that. Okay, so question number 1: is Ted Larson better than Jonathan Cooper?
You know.
Oh, by the way, that's DD Viking that asked that. DD Viking.
Yeah, you got some double D's. Anyway, I think yes, but I don't think that means that Ted Larson should be continuing to play long term. I mean, we invested a lot in terms of just like the draft selection number for Jonathan. So I would really like to see if we can continue to develop him a little bit. He does play pretty well. He was getting his ass beat a little bit there on the Seahawks game. They're just like pushing him back with impunity. And Ted Larson set this block for, God, I don't remember if it was like Chris Johnson or who, but the way he like shot up the gap and went and blocked a linebacker so that the run could progress up through the line. I don't remember seeing replays of Jonathan Cooper doing that. Now, whether the guy goes and does that, I haven't like studied film on him or anything. I'm not sure, but it's just like that was a really cool highlight from Ted Larson. Yeah, so there you go.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think you should start over him, but I don't mind when he does.
For some reason, this guy, his name is Buddha with 2 D's and 4 A's, Buddha or something. I don't know. Anyways, his flair is Steve Kimes' head. He, for some reason, answered the question, even though the segment is called Listen Up Lutz. He responded to it and said that they're equally inconsistent, but one is younger, more athletic, and has a higher ceiling. That's probably the guy you want in. Of course, talking about Cooper.
He should answer these questions, because that was what I was trying to say. But I use better, longer, more words.
Okay.
More of them.
Rabbit.
More is better.
Rabbits E88, whose flair is a Calais Campbell jersey, asks, with the last few games, I seem to see more QB pressure by our defense. Is this going to be a continuous trend?
Yeah, absolutely. What are you a Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan, by the way? Anyway, he's number 88. So, yeah, like Marcus Golden obviously finally getting to the quarterback. It's a beautiful thing to see. He sounded like he was a lot more confident on it. The Bengals O-line's not a bunch of jokers, so that's good. Rodney Gunter was just blowing through people. So absolutely, like I think Lamar Woodley's a shit-brained butt nugget, and I think Dwight Freeney is getting more versed in the system. I don't know why we keep Lamar Woodley. I don't know what the fuck that guy does for us, but Dwight Freeney is getting better and better every week. So, like, seeing him pull that move and shit and, like, make that sack on Andy Dalton, man, we don't see our fucking pass rushers really do that. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what Xavier Williams does. Also, you'll probably be getting to play a little more. So, here we go. Niners is a great opportunity for these guys to get some reps.
Isn't it? Next question. Insanity Trials wants to know, he says, we will obviously, well, I think most likely is probably a better word than obviously, but we will obviously be getting a late draft pick next offseason. That said, what position do you think we will draft for?
Hi, Insanity Trials. I plead the 51-50th. No, I think that we should go defensive backfield still. We're missing a cornerback.
Corner? Okay.
And like I haven't looked where the draft stacks up right now. I know corners typically don't go like ultra high. I think Marcus Peters went pretty high in this last draft.
Patrick
But
Peterson went like 5th overall.
Well, yeah. So I mean, there was like one, maybe 2 corners that went in the first round last year. I'm sorry if I'm totally mistaken on that. But there's only one like standout. Anyway, what I'm getting at with is I don't think we should try to pick one up in free agency. I don't think the money would be right. I really think we should just get a young one, have him learn behind Pat Pete, and work him into the rotation. That seems to be working for our team. That has not been the case in years past, but especially this last draft, we've seen had a lot of success actually getting guys that are going to make an impact on our team. Ironically, not our first rounder, of course, but maybe he will eventually. But
okay, from Hamcat666 wants to know, Hamcat666 would like to know, is Carson the MVP?
There's so much that's not kosher with that name. Is Carson Palmer the MVP? To me, he is as of week 11. Well, I mean, obviously that question has to be answered after week 17, but there's not a chance in hell as of week 11 that the people who vote on this are going to vote him MVP. I mean, there's that guy, Tom Brady. There's an element of national exposure that comes with that. And like, just because we played the last 2 primetime Sunday night games and won them in beautiful fashion, doesn't mean that Tom Brady's not a Tom Brady anymore.
Okay,
people look at the records a lot.
I wanna expand on that. I want to expand on that question though. I'm going to expand on your question, Hamcat666. Okay, MVP, the word valuable, as in the player that brings the most value to the team. That is to say, if you took that player off the team would be nothing without them. Okay, like in my book, obviously yes, Carson Palmer's a huge name at top of that list. But dude, Cam Newton. If you took Cam Newton off the Panthers, they would be trash. They would be garbage.
Yeah.
Like
they would not win games.
No.
They would win like some.
Yeah, we'd be shooting for like a 500 season if we had to start Drew Stanton or Matt Barkley.
They'd be like 3-7 right now.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So and the funny thing is that I haven't really heard a lot of, and keep in mind, this is coming from me, Kairi, and I do not like Cam Newton, and I certainly don't like the Panthers.
Why, man? Why don't you like Cam? What's wrong with Cam, dude? Just because he's like confident as hell? He's not like a dick, man. He's not like. You don't dislike Ryan Tannehill, who shouted, "Enjoy your practice squad paychecks" to guys picking him off during practice. Man, he's just confident, bro. Like, it's a different thing.
No. Okay, yeah, he's confident, but and I need to let this go because this was a couple seasons ago. Cam Newton was younger and more immature at this point, and his team was down by like 4 scores and 7 points ago. And he rushes in a touchdown. They were playing the Giants. Cam Newton rushes in a touchdown, and now the team's only down by like 3 touchdowns instead of 4. They're still going to lose the game. It's fourth quarter. You're down by 3 touchdowns. You're going to lose. So he rushes in a touchdown, and then he like proudly does like the tearing open the shirt, the Superman thing that he does. Dude, you don't celebrate a touchdown when just because you ran one in when your team's about to lose. You don't celebrate that. You get the frick off the field. No, you celebrate the game tying or the go ahead, but not the one right before your team's losing. Your team is losing the game, and you have been leading them the whole game and failing. And just because you rush...
He did that against us?
What?
He did that against us?
No, it was against the Giants.
Oh.
No, that's what I'm saying is that shows so much. You mentioned Peyton was playing for Peyton. Dude, when you see that, you got to figure Cam's playing for Cam. Now, keep in mind, this is like 3 seasons ago, so Cam has probably grown up since then and probably would not do that today.
Interesting, like, segue with that, though. Teams have to buy into something or somebody. They got to play for somebody. And so I think that once upon a time, teams would also play for Peyton. So while Peyton was playing for Peyton, other players could get behind that because they supported him in that way, if you follow what I'm saying. The Cardinals, the team plays for Bruce Arians. But in Carolina, maybe those guys play for Cam, you know? Maybe Cam is the guy that inspires them. You know, if he went down, like you said, they would be trash. But that's because Riverboat Ron isn't necessarily the guy that's lighting the fire in them. When Carson went down, Bruce was still going around saying we're going to win the Super Bowl, Drew. And people still went out there and made a huge effort, you know, and we made a push towards the end of the season because it was the coach that they played for. So yeah, you're right. Cam plays for Cam, and I think while he's young and good, that won't be a huge hindrance. But later on in his career, when he has to adapt more to a system, if he ever finds himself on a team that's built that way, I think he'll struggle a bit, having to check his ego at the door, which is like I think the same issue that the Broncos are having with Peyton.
Okay, last question for Listen Up Lutz. It's from a guy whose flair is the classic Cardinals logo, and
I love it.
I don't know how to say his name. He's told me a couple of times, but I like to call him Extra AZ because he doesn't get enough Arizona, so he needs some extra AZ. I think it's actually Exatras or something like that, but I'm going with Extra AZ. So Extra AZ has asked, if you, Brian Lutz, were in a dance competition against John Brown and Drew Stanton, who would win? Like a three-way, like not like teams, like cutthroat, three-way dance competition. You, John Brown, Drew Stanton, who's winning that competition?
Do you really want to know my honest-to-God answer?
Extra AZ, I would like you to let us know if you want to hear the honest-to-God answer. Lutz is going to say it now. Tell us in the comments.
Kairi, why don't you say who you think would win? If I put it all out there, man, and just like let my hips do the talking.
I don't know, dude. That Drew Stanton touchdown celebration.
Exactly. I'm not coming. Yeah, he had this special like move, the way he like bobbled his head with his body, that I can't quite achieve.
I've commented several times throughout Reddit. Anytime I see anyone reference that, and I've mentioned that so far, Drew Stanton is the only guy that has properly celebrated a touchdown. Everyone else up to this point has not done it right.
John Brown did his celebration. He if you remember last year, he kind of had a couple different ones he went with, but he redid one of the ones, like his most popular one.
Yeah, the little arm flail, like dirty looking.
He's conducting with lasers on speed, like the Speed Orchestra or something. I don't know.
All right, so that's it for this week's edition of Listen Up, Lutz. Thank you guys for your comments and questions and having funny names for Lutz and I to make fun of. It was a good time. We're going to go ahead and close out this week like we do every week with this week's edition of
Lutz Locks.
And for this week's edition of
Lutz Locks.
We're just going to run through the games and Lutz is going to pick who he thinks is going to win because we've been doing that every week and it seems to be working out. I don't think I want to do a theme this week. What did we do last week? We did Magic?
Man, we didn't do shit last week.
We did Magic. We did The Cards Don't Lie.
Wait,
Call
Bill
me
John,
now.
What did we do?
Call me now. Bill John, what did we do?
He loved it. See, Bill John, you confused me because I couldn't get a read on you with sunglasses guy. So I'm like, maybe he liked it, maybe he didn't. But he said, God damn it. And I usually say, God damn it, when I don't like something. So then I thought harder and realized you didn't like it. So we won't do it anymore. Except for right now, I'm going to do Miss Cleo. Okay, go.
Call me now for the free Miss Cleo tarot reading. The cards don't lie. Let me put on a Miss Cleo song in the background. I guess this is one.
No, just go, man. I'll make the music with my voice.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay, so here we go. Let's hit these locks. Be on the lookout for the Who Gives a Shit Bowl, guys. It's coming up. Philadelphia, Detroit.
Give me now, rude boy. Philadelphia, Detroit. The cards don't lie. It's going to be them Lions.
Carolina and Dallas.
Them Carolina Panthers are going down there. Dallas Cowboy, Tony Romo, man in the house. Tony Romo, they win.
Green Bay.
Oh, they got the Bears. They come in to play the Pack. Come on. The Bears win.
The Bears win? Wow. I hope so.
I pulled the Bear card.
New Orleans and Houston.
Like a shot, like one, everything. Every New Orleans going down to the Texans, man.
So Houston then?
The Houston Texans, man. I pulled the Texas card.
The St. Louis Rams. Stop doing Italian. St. Louis is going to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. Who's gonna fucking win?
Oh, like a sprony. They're playing the Bengals. The Bengals are going to be the victors.
I hope so. I hope Andy Dalton's out. No, I shouldn't say that. Let me say.
Why'd I call him Dandy?
I don't know. They say Dandy Andy, the Red Ryder BB gun.
Correct.
Minnesota at the ATL. Who's winning?
Him and now them Viking going to go down on them Falcon. Boy, did them Viking them win.
New, New York Giants at Washington Redskins.
Oh, and consider literally named team going down to little team and yo.
We're changing themes in the middle of Loot's Locks. You have to do the second. That was the first half of the schedule. The second half
Right.
you have to do as Miss Doubtfire. Tampa Bay at Indiana.
Well, my dear, I hung myself with a handkerchief on my door jamb.
What's that got to do
What
with
do
Tampa Bay at Indiana? Oh, you think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are... I can't do it.
Oh, give me a spot of Tampa Bay with that.
So
It's
Tampa...
just generic Robin Williams.
Yeah, you're right. That's every fucking... He has like 4 characters. Buffalo at Kansas City.
Them Chiefs on a roll, dear.
Oakland
They're
at
picking the Chiefs.
Oakland
Okay,
at Tennessee.
Ooh, give me the Raiders.
San Diego at Jacksonville.
I'm going to have to pick the Jaguars, dear. They're playing a little better.
Miami Dolphins at New York Jets.
Well, both of these teams are steaming piles of shit, don't you know? So why don't we do Miss Cleo times Miss Doubtfire equals the Dolphins win? Why not, eh?
New England Patriots are traveling to Denver to take on Brock Osweiler and the Broncos.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. The Tom Brady are getting injured left and right, up and down, all over Sleepy Town. They're going to lose to the Broncos, eh?
I love where this is going. And finally, this week's
Who gives a shit ball?
Baltimore Ravens at Cleveland Browns. Start with Josh McCown starting because Johnny Manziel can't quit getting drunk and banging hookers.
I'm gonna predict, and accurately, I might add, my first tie. This game ends in a tie. It'll be our tie for the year.
It is
Yeah, baby.
it is this week's Who Gives a Shit Bowl, so really nobody cares.
No.
And finally, final score is Arizona at San Francisco. I am going with 31-13.
That's actually a really good prediction. I'm going to go with 34-14.
Okay, wow. Freaking copycat. All those numbers that you picked are almost the same as the ones I picked. All right,
That's a
guys.
little different.
That's going to do it for this week's what are we doing again? That's going to do it. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to join us next time when we do a little bit more here on Kairi Sport.
Wait.
What?
You lied to me.
What?
You lied to me.
What I lie?
Cut Gerard Powers' wiener off.
Oh, I forgot we were going to talk about cutting Gerard Powers' wiener off. I promised we'd have a segment.
Wait, can I just tell you guys I made up some names for him?
Oh, no. Let's have them. I actually want to get to those.
Gerard Powers. So Gerard is an acronym. I hope nobody turned this shit off already because you fucking signed us out by lying to everybody. But they were waiting for this. They knew it was coming. I put a lot of work into this. So I think Gerard maybe stands for Just Exposed Red Rifle as Ultimate Dude. Or possibly Just Evacuated Route Runner as Underwear Deposit. Or perhaps we could go with January Expectations Risked Retardedly After Ugly Demonstration.
Oh my god, that was good. That one was the best.
Okay.
Don't you have an Andre one?
Well, no, I'm not quite done, man.
Oh, okay.
Let me work my bit here. So I also decided that since he plays so ass backwards, I flipped his name to Pod Gerowers. That's like POD, like that band. Pod Gerowers is what I'm going to be calling him, the fucking Gerowers. So Pod, it could stand for Princess of Defense, or maybe Passer's Own Dude, or how about Penis or Dildo, one or the other, or possibly Poop on Deck.
I was gonna say something with Peterson, like we want Peterson back in the field. Peterson
only, damn it.
Okay.
So,
let's get the Andre ones and wrap this shit up.
Then they're not as cool. Andre, a not dramatic running exposition.
Okay.
And actually not doing really excellent.
Actually, not. It took me a minute to realize that one was an acronym because you delivered it like a sentence. So,
I know.
all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, you're still with us for the awesome things that Lutz just delivered to you because we do this shit for you guys. So, anyways,
and for us and the fame and glory.
We get laid all the time from this. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you next week. Tell them bye, Lutz.
Bye, Luke.
Bum, ba-da, ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-ba-bum, bum, bum.